What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to Redemption with Jaden. We're back with another Lackey Grand Prix, which means some more Lackey Grand Prix gameplay. So this week is round 1, and this Grand Prix is actually structured a little bit differently than the previous Lackey Grand Prix, which have always been just one pod or one group of people all having the same opportunity to play each other. And in this case, we have 24 total players. And Jay didn't want to have it drag on quite as long, so instead of playing with 24 players and doing 5 rounds and then top cut or something like that, he decided to split us into 2 pods, pod 1 and pod 2, of 12 players each, and then those 12 players would have, I believe we're still doing 4 rounds, 4 weeks of games within those pods, and then the top 1 and 2, or I guess the top 2 players from each pod after those 4 rounds of Swiss will be in a 4-person top cut. So it's kind of interesting how it's working out. It will, I don't know, it kind of feels better, or like it doesn't really feel too different, but I kind of like the way it's organized or structured. It just feels a little simpler, a little cleaner to do it that way. And I think I don't think that he split the pods randomly, just because there are 3 pairs of brothers that are all in different pods. So I'm guessing that there was something, some tweaking going into that. But I think also just like player, like skill level, maybe was accounted for a little bit there, where the pods are kind of evenly distributed between players who typically do fairly well and players who haven't done as well in the Grand Prix. So that's something that can be tracked and accounted for as Jay made the pods and did that. I don't know exactly how much was involved. I'm kind of just all speculating here, but that is my assessment of what it looks like happened anyway. And so with that, my first round opponent in pod 2 or 1, I think I'm in pod 2, is smittyseveneyes, or Dave Smith, from Maryland, and we got paired up randomly, and so we played our game, and I wasn't really sure what deck I wanted to play. We kind of I had a few ideas going around. There was a deck that I've been wanting to play that I think will be either next round or the round after that, that I had an idea for, kind of using the new Guardian of Your Souls, which, by the way, is now on Lackey. That was kind of an unintentional transition, but I'll go ahead and talk about that. There is a Lackey update as of a few days ago, where the new Guardian of Your Souls national participation promo is now available to use in Lackey. I figured that would be helpful for us getting to use it in this Lackey Grand Prix. It's now legal for the Grand Prix, so instead of having to proxy it, you can just use the actual image that you're going to see at Nationals, and has the real ability and everything, just to avoid confusion, since it is a card that stays on the table. So because it places in territory. In addition to that, there is now a stricken reminder token in the in Lackey here as well. So it's this little token that Gabe put together. It says reminder token and has the star ability from Stricken on there. So you can just put it in your little tokens slot over here, and then when you're in a game, you can just go over here and pop it out. Like if someone activates the Stricken star ability, just to put it on the table. That way you don't have to keep track of like whether or not Stricken is still in the hand or not. Like if I activate the star ability on Stricken and then I underdeck it with Grumbled, like do I want my opponent to know that? No, not really. So leaving it on the table can introduce that kind of situation. So having a reminder token here for Stricken can be useful. Not everybody's gonna need it or want it, but you can certainly use it if you are being struck. And you want to make sure that you don't forget, or that your opponent doesn't forget, if you want to be kind and have a token for them as a reminder. Also, this update that was supposed to be in the spring update with all the other spring things, roots and other fixes. Actually, I guess Roots was already in before that. What all do we fix? We changed a lot of stuff in the spring with the set and official set, and that the whole point of doing that, the having now set separate from the official set, 2 different columns here, that kind of messed things up with your decks, and I'm sorry about that, but now we can finally reap the benefits because this little format bar or drop-down menu is here and can be used. So let's say you want to play Scroots, you can just select that format from the drop-down, and it will only have cards that are legal in Scroots. As you can see, we got the Holy of Holies from Roots there, and then all the other scroll cards, as well as all the other Redemption Roots cards. Or you can do the Christ block. So it has all the cards from Fall of Man, Prophecies of Christ, Lineage of Christ, and Gospel of Christ. And then also some, also the promos that go along with that, like Book of the Law and stuff. That's, it's the same card. So it's in this block. And we can add, I guess the one that people will probably mostly use is the rotation one. That was part of why it was needed as well. And that's because just the promos were all in the promo set, which we had to have some way of differentiating those in, throughout the, differentiating them between ones that are on the scroll, like old card face, or on the new card face. And so I think this is just a better long-term solution for that. Hopefully you guys agree. But we can also, this is something that's very easily editable for future updates. So if there are other formats that come up where it's like you just want to play with cards from every other set, and then you want to play against someone who plays with a deck with cards from all the other sets, like the opposite ones, like, I don't know, something goofy like that, you can, we could set something up to do that. Or you could even customize it yourself if you want to and go to the files, figure out how to do that. But as far as the actual Redemption plugin, we'll probably have like mostly official formats, or at least pseudo-official. Like we have GOC only and LOC only in here, which, you could just do set contains LOC to do the same exact thing, but this is just a little more convenient. Maybe eventually we'll take those out if we have enough other formats that we don't want to, clog up the drop down menu there. So anyway, that little format drop down should be there if you run the update, and I'm excited to be able to use that now for deck building. Just make things a little bit easier than having to go in and, legality contains rotation, or if you're doing other, it's close to the same amount of work. Like, it's not that hard to type in rotation, but maybe over time you're saving yourself, few seconds for every deck you're building or something. I don't know. I like having that convenience. It's just it's something that's future proof, I guess, or future proofing for the game as well. So if we have another rotation, then we can have this rotation, that rotation, blah blah blah, different formats there. So that is the Lackey update. Now let's talk about this deck. As I was saying before I got distracted with the Lackey update, there were some deck ideas that I had in mind to use. One of them with the new Guardian, and I didn't have the deck put together yet. And I also was thinking, well, if I want to put this in video form, it's going to be better if I have the real Guardian in there. So I should wait until we get the update finalized, figured out. So that's part of the reasoning there, and that's part of why I was like, oh, we should get that in Lackey, because I want to. It's partially for selfish reasons, but also because I want other people to benefit from that as well. And so I decided to net deck basically, or for this week, and I took Josh's Nazareth prison deck, Josh Potratz, Kevinthedude on Discord, because I liked the list. I thought it seemed very interesting. Josh definitely has a knack for deck building, and he's a great player, of course, as well. So that is something that I trusted that this deck could do well, and I just thought it was enough of a different take on kind of the general like GOC good stuff that I think a lot of people are seeing, a lot of people are playing. That it has a little bit of the spice factor, I don't know, to it. Maybe it doesn't look all that spicy to you, but I think it's just a different approach, I guess, than what I've seen a lot of people playing. So I thought I would give it a shot, and I was fairly impressed with how it performed, both the offense and the defense. The defense is a pretty straightforward Herod's build, but definitely built with Nazareth in mind. You don't have as many of the like as many of the blocks that you sometimes will see with Herods. At least we saw a lot early on with Herods, like Herod Antipas with Feudal Inquisition in reserve or something like that. But this is very like you're going to want to search early on, but if you don't, like if you go first and put down Nazareth, you're not going to be too upset about it, I guess. Like you've got Deceiver and Herod's Guard, which are going to be good to help you get set up if you're going second. But if you're going first, then hopefully you're drawing enough cards to where not having access to these doesn't really matter. And Herod's Guard can still go to territory, mind you. So if you put a Herod down in play, then Herod's Guard can still get some value there. And inevitably, your opponent's going to want to deal with Nazareth in most cases. Inevitably, in most cases, is maybe a little bit, contradictory, whatever. But in I will just say, in most cases, your opponent's going to want to deal with Nazareth. And when they do, if they do, then Deceiver having that availability to go to reserve or into deck if you need to is kind of nice. And if you don't need it, you can throw it away with a Prosperity or Grumbled or something like that. So I think that there's still value in playing Deceiver, and then you've got a small enhancement package here, which are all fairly useful. As No Straw is pretty much the only one that's going to maybe not be as effective in some cases, just because it might get tossed by the Cross or Colosseum or something like that. But other than that, there's not really any searching involved. It's just kind of the strongest mono brigade enhancements, so they get through tossing multicolor, that kind of stuff. So I think that is just a very compact defense that seems to work very well. Relies a lot on Herod's Temple, but also works well with the battle dominance, like Glory of the Lord and Grapes, that have some flexibility there, which I'll talk about that in a little bit. But then as far as the offense is concerned, Josh's goal, kind of his target for turn one, is to attack with Matthew, get a draw there, and then you can chain draw 3 enhancements like Blood of the Lamb and Generous Giving into each other after they block, and then drop a Resurrection after that to just band in some draw 2 heroes like Judas, Joanna, and John, or some battle winning heroes like Zacchaeus, who can reserve a new character, or Mary, who can just hit snipe something in territory, and then of course also Peter. He's kind of the main one that he wants to get in order to be able to set up Nazareth right away. So Resurrection plays Peter in Herod's Temple if you don't have either of those yet, and then bans to Peter and some other heroes that draw or toss or just get some pretty good value. Putting Judas into play right away is pretty decent. Getting a draw 2 off of him as well, and then also Nazareth. So once you have Judas and Nazareth set up, then you're in pretty decent shape. And that actually brings me to a point that I should clarify here. This deck, initially the list that Josh posted on Discord had Watchful Servant in place of Judas here, and it also had the Shepherd's Lost Soul in place of Accusers. He was running both of the underdeck to draw 1 Lost Souls from the starter decks, but he in talking to him about the deck before playing the game, recording and everything, I was like, hey, is there anything that you want me to try, or you've changed, or any tips or whatever I should mention? And those were the 2 swaps that he said that he had made since posting the deck, putting Accusers in here, which is great because it shuts off Herdsman, which is a very common response to Matthew, and since he's playing Herods, that it doesn't hit any of his characters. So if he ever attacks with Akeem, Akeem will be negated, but ideally that won't be happening. Hopefully you can get him under the Herod's Temple protection so that they can't choose the rescue or something like that. But other than that, those are the 2 the only two changes, I guess, other than that, everything is the same as what he posted. I think Judas makes a lot of sense here. Watchful Servant is kind of nice to have a banding option later in the game, I guess, after you've already used Resurrection, and maybe probably because your Peter is still converted to Meek. This deck actually doesn't really run ways to bounce heroes or to reset them, except for the Lost Child found in reserve. So if you're not able to bounce Peter and do some banding there, then Watchful Servant be kind of nice for that, just to mitigate a little bit against down blocks like Christian Martyr and Falling Away. But I think the effect of Judas here, the territory class draw counter, that I think it complements Nazareth very well, and it's a guaranteed draw too, on the first turn, where it has Watchful Servant would probably be a draw 0 if you're going first, because it is a number of heroes that your opponents has in play. So that is the kind of main strategy, and so getting a draw 3 with Blood of the Lamb, Generous Giving each, and then Faith of Samuel and Baptism of Jesus also doing some drawing. So very draw heavy offense, and then also Banner of Love sounded like that was kind of one of the more recent additions, which actually just fits really well in the deck because he's got some of the Garden Girls here with Mary and Joanna and Mary, and then also Mary Holy Virgin, who's pretty much always going to get initiative. You play Banner of Love, Band to John to toss the next, and then you discard their evil character in battle. Then you're in pretty good shape there. So it's almost can be considered a cheese rescue, or I mean, it's part of that. Like, it's one of those rescues that they're just not gonna have an easy way to respond to. So that is pretty much the goal of the offense, is to have some difficult to stop rescues, but still work around Nazareth in kind of a similar fashion, I guess, to like an old school throne deck. That's kind of what I was thinking of, is like the deck that Nick Marshall won the 2020 Nationals Type 1 with, was a throne deck where it's just turn 1 super acceleration, auto Samuel, put David in play, get some maybe Abigail, King Saul, like get all the drawing and then throne, and then at the end of all of that, put Nazareth down in the discard phase, the site Nazareth at that time. And this was kind of reminding me of that, where you're attacking, you're drawing a whole bunch of cards, and you're putting Nazareth in play, even before the battle's over in most cases, or ideally, and odds are decent that you'll draw into it a good portion of the time, just with all the drawing that you're doing with Matthew and the enhancements. But if not, then you can put it in play with Peter, and your opponent will have to respond to whatever you're doing without being able to search. And a lot of times people will play Resurrection before the block, and sometimes I like doing that because, getting Nazareth down before your opponent has a chance to block can be great, because if they're hanging on to like a Deceiver or Herod's Guard or something, and you put down Nazareth, then they won't be able to search in their block. Josh was saying that a lot of the times, or I mean really most of the time, the goal is going to be to let them block and then get your draw 3s with Blood of the Lamb and Generous Giving, to really like set up your Resurrection more fully, like to make sure that you have 3 heroes that you can band in and get some value from. And I think that's maybe a little bit risky. And if you're attacking with Matthew, then you're going to be able to recognize those situations of like, okay, this is when I'm going to attack with, or this is when I'm going to play Resurrection before the block. If they're hanging on to a Philistine armor bearer and that's all they got to block, I'm going to be playing Resurrection before they block and go to Herdsman. If they already have Herdsman in hand, I'm going to let them block. They get to draw. That's fine, but I'm going to get dominant initiative. They're not doing anything, like they're not doing any like play abilities or anything with the block. And so that's actually, a good situation for me, because that means I'm probably going to be able to win the battle. The trickier things, or trickier situations, I guess, will be where you have somebody like, outsiders blocking to underdeck Matthew, or, Herod the Great to choose someone else. I mean, a lot of times there's not going to be anyone on turn 1, but just ways that, when your opponent can have an actual block before you have a chance to play Resurrection. But that's where, Generous Giving and Blood of the Lamb come in. If you've got a solo Matthew here, and you're being put in special initiative, then you're going to have plenty of options, hopefully, to deal with that. So I really like the direction that Josh went. It's kind of weird not to see like Simon and Authority of Christ in here. Those are kind of like, there's no Eternal Inheritance in reserve. There's no Send the Helper. So it's very fine-tuned, I guess, to work well with Nazareth, and I think that that's pretty cool. I mean, that's kind of what I expect to see from Josh, but the fine-tuning aspect of it. But that is just part of why I wanted to try out the deck, just to see how well it actually worked and kind of understand it a little bit better. Is it a deck that I would play at Nationals? Maybe. Depends on how competitive I'm feeling at the time, kind of leading up to Nationals. Or is there something that I feel like is going to be able to perform at the same or similar level, or is going to be able to answer this? We'll see. But this is a deck that if you're looking to compete at Nationals and you're not really sure what to play, I would recommend trying out this deck and just kind of seeing how it feels. And if you get used to it, get really good at using a deck like this, I think that you have a good shot at doing well at Nationals or just, at any high-level tournaments. So, I don't know. Maybe we'll start seeing some more Satan Seat going around, or some more, demon defenses that can deal with Nazareth a little bit better. But and also Honeypot is still pretty good against decks like this. If you can go first and you set up a protected CBN, Holy of Holies, and Pot of Mana, which admittedly is tough to get it all set up on the first turn, but even just Pot of Mana, getting that set up and protected can be difficult for a deck like this to deal with. Josh does have some answers baked in, like Bethlehem is good here with the site to make Zacchaeus, Judas, Joanna, and Matthew all work through Holy of Holies and through Pact with Death, through Confusion of Mind. Those are all decent counters too. Mary is in here, and she can take out any of the artifact counters as long as she gets there before they're protected. There's also, let's see, Teaching in Parables can help with that if you're able to get that out of reserve, or Lost Child Found can kind of buy you some time to bounce them for a turn, help you, regain some advantage. And then Outsiders is definitely going to be one of the stronger answers, I guess, if they do get to do that all turn one. But of course, you have to remember with Outsiders that it cannot be prevented by a good card. So if you are, if you're being negated by Holy of Holies, then you'd have to have like Humble or something to turn that on. So looking over at the Dominance and Lost Soul packages here that Josh has picked out, it was actually kind of weird as I was sorting out the deck. I was like, I feel like I have too many Dominance, because I was looking at just all of these good Dominance, and I was like, oh yeah, there's no Crowd's Choice in here. And recently, like, I'm not one to necessarily say that Crowd's Choice is a staple in every deck. I know there are some people who would say that, and probably Josh would say that too if it wasn't a Nazareth deck. Like, I don't know, I feel like Josh is one who really likes that consistency. I mean, he's big on Virgin Birth, but he also really values the dominant slots, and especially their impact in battle, which you can see he's got Angel of the Lord, Glory of the Lord, and Grapes of Wrath, all really big battle dominance. And they also, Glory of the Lord and Grapes have the benefit of being effective both on the offense and defense side. The Glory of the Lord of Herods is very strong. Grapes can be a great block if you're falling behind, or you just haven't played your big two yet, and they have. So seeing both of those is kind of cool. I don't see Grapes played a whole lot, but it's not because I don't see its value. It's just it's hard to justify sometimes. But in this deck, I think it works well, especially if you pull it off with like a Faith of Samuel or something. Like, you use Faith of Samuel to abandon their whole offense, then you play Grapes, and then you get to re-attack with yours. It can be a pretty big reset, especially with Nazareth out. If you're stopping them from searching for their heroes again, then that can be pretty good. I think also I was a little, I don't know, not necessarily confused, but just trying to figure out, like, how does Mary the Restored work well in this deck? Like, what exactly is she accomplishing? I think she's kind of a Matthew alternative is maybe one of the aspects, I guess, where, turn one, if you don't happen to have a way to get to Matthew, which, I think will happen with this deck. I mean, it's very optimized, 50 cards, Hopper, got a Grumbled and a Prosperity, Virgin Birth, Patmos, so decent number of ways to get to Matthew, but it's not going to happen every time, and sometimes Mary the Restored might be the way to go. But she has this first part that says, if blocked from hand, you may take a good New Testament card from deck. And so sometimes, or I guess most of the time, that will probably be the Resurrection. I was thinking, though, that sometimes that, I mean, depending on what your opponent has, if you know what they have in their hand, or, you kind of have a decent idea, maybe they revealed like 5 star cards and none of them were evil characters. So you're like, oh, they probably only have like 1 evil character, maybe 2. But, if you're kind of suspecting that they only have 1, then maybe Mary goes to Grapes. And then you have another way to Matthew. You can just take out one of their evil characters and then, attack with Angel of the Winds to go to Matthew, be unopposed or something like that. I don't know. I don't know. I was just trying to think of some ways. I probably just should have asked Josh about it, but I think that there are some decent ways that you can use Mary here, especially if you do end up playing Resurrection beforehand. You look at their hand with Matthew and decide that that's something you want to do. But of course, the taking good NT card from deck is not going to work through Nazareth. So, maybe it's just the banding to a Fight by the Numbers hero. Sometimes that's going to be what you need, but a lot of times that will also negate the abilities that you want to activate, like Zacchaeus or Judas. But I mean, you can get Joanna, John, Peter, Mary all through it. So I don't know, I can see a reason for using Mary Magdalene, or Mary the Restored, but by herself, probably not doing a whole lot, unless you're just, searching for Angel of the Lord or something, which, by the way, apparently Josh has the Old Testament Angel of the Lord in here. Josh, if you're watching, you should change it for the New Testament one if you haven't realized that already. I don't see any synergy with the Old Testament one, so I think that would make more sense. All right, so yeah, those are the dominants, no crowd's choice, just all ways to rescue lost souls, basically, or maybe block here and there, and then, of course, 3 woes. And lost souls, I kind of talked about this a little bit, but, we've got the accusers, we've got the kind of acceleration lost souls. I've been seeing a lot of people using distressed lately, and I don't know if I'm really, feeling like it's as necessary as it feels like some people are making it out to be. I don't feel like I'm seeing a whole lot of territory class characters, and if I am, it's a lot of the negate neutral ones, like Akeem and Resurrection Revealer. And maybe that's enough justification to be running it, as long as you can get it out first. But I feel like, just naturally speaking, a lot of times the player's going to be able to get out their negate neutrals first, at least Resurrection Revealer, because in most decks that are running Resurrection Revealer, they want it out right away. But I don't know, maybe just having that layer and then kind of doing the negate fight over that is good enough to justify the spot for distressed. Maybe also just the fact that Judas is fairly common is good. I've seen a little bit of Priest of Zeus, so I don't know. I can see justification for the slot, but I'd also feel like there are enough other answers. Maybe, I don't know. I'm willing to change my mind and put a little more value on distressed, but humble, definitely good. Lawless, acceleration, and lost souls in there to make sure that you've always got something to rescue. It's going to be important for an aggressive deck like this. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I guess I can talk a little bit about the reserve. In most, maybe not most cases, but a lot of cases, you're not really going to need to touch anything in here. At least kind of ideally, you're going to get down Nazareth right away, and then this is all just backup gravy if you need it. So you just got a buttload of enhancements in here to be able to access and do some banding or have some interrupt and win the battle, or some teaching in parables to do a little control there, or Lost Sheep to finish things up. It's kind of the this deck's version of Eternal Inheritance, I guess, where you can go in and choose the blocker with Zacchaeus, choose a bigger evil character or something, and then play Lost Sheep to rescue number 5, something like that. Talked about the defense a little bit. That's in the reserve already, so I won't belabor that too much. Trying to think if there's anything else, but I think that's pretty much it. You should try the deck out for yourself after you watch this game. But of course, before we get into the game, we're gonna go shout out our sponsors over here at Your Turn Games. Once again, I mentioned this last week, but I just feel like it's worth saying again in case you missed it. The pre-orders for Israel's Inheritance are now live, so you can go ahead and pre-order those from Your Turn Games, and there is a sale that ends this Monday, June 17th at midnight, so, I guess at 11:59, so midnight of the day after. Anyways, this is a pre-order for this, so you'll get them sometime this fall, kind of after Nationals, maybe September is kind of the estimate that he gives here. But you want to go ahead and hop on the sale that he's got going on for both the pre-orders and of the complete sets, both the complete sets and the display boxes and booster packs. So you can go and do that. Go check out the spoilers that we've already seen on Discord, but he's got them here as well, I guess, just for advertising. I think I just mentioned last week that they were actual spoilers, but we have seen all of these before if you're paying attention on Discord. So anyways, that is everything for Your Turn Games. I mean, they got lots of other stuff too, but that's kind of the more important or most pertinent thing. And just remember, if you do get a complete set, you do get a $25 Your Turn Games gift card with that. So that's probably the best bang for your buck. But I know me personally, I like to open packs, so my pre-orders are going to be display boxes for sure. So that is everything for the intro here, I think. Let's go ahead and get into the game. Oh, nope, I lied. One more thing. So I've had a little bit of unfortunate circumstances. I won't call it luck, but just unfortunate circumstances with OBS recently, where it seems like when I open it, it's not having my audio things set up correctly or how like I left it. So I didn't realize until we had we were a little bit into the game that it was not recording Dave's audio correctly. I had some issues with that on the live stream last weekend. If you saw that with the tournament as well, where like I didn't have my opponent's audio on the first game, and in that case it was hard to fix while I was actually doing the stream. Actually, I don't know if it was actually that hard to fix, but I just didn't, couldn't fix it while I was playing the game, focusing at the same time. So anyways, you're just going to be hearing my half for the first like turn and a half or something like that. So eventually we do get Dave on there. It's a little easier to pause a non-live stream, so we were able to take a couple minutes for me to figure out what was going on with that, and I got that worked out. So in the future I'll be more vigilant in making sure that we test the audio and everything beforehand, but I just we just kind of dove right into it this time around, and it was not set up right. So anyways, that is everything. So let's go ahead and get into the game with Dave. I got a few souls here. More than a few. And I rolled a 4. Take good nativity cards from harm. Okay. Only 1 star. That's good to see after last game. Last time we played. Alright, I have no stars I'd like to activate. Oh no, I didn't have your audio recording. So just to catch up for the recording, Dave rolled a 5, I rolled a 4, and he is choosing to go first.
Alright, Lawless myself.
Nativity Herods.
Do that goes in play, and then I can take one. Neither one of them's good. Let's Just go with that.
Sure.
All right. Your souls.
All right. Let's. I will make a token for. You're probably gonna draw some cards. I'll make a token for myself, and just in case. And then let's do grumbled. We'll send this one to the bottom. Draw one. And then prosperity. Not sure what I discard here. I'm pretty sure I do something.
That's the problem with prosperity. Sometimes you just don't know what to discard.
Right, yep. I think I will discard generous giving. Still get a little bit of drawing out of generous giving.
Yeah. That was probably the smart one.
Yeah. Alright, that's it for my souls.
Cool. All right. So let's go ahead and do this. Go ahead and do that.
Yep.
Go ahead and do that. Do that. Yeah. Yeah, we'll go ahead and do it. It might come back to bite me, but it's all right. Play a
Oh
second.
boy. Go big or go home, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I'm gonna go to my rescue attempt.
Sure.
All right, so we'll go ahead and go with shepherds.
Shepherds, huh?
Yeah, shepherds. Good to go through your deck. Play Lost Soul.
Yeah. Let's see, the hand advantage thing, I think that's just a one-time check, looks like.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Definitely got All right, you're playing Nazi. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and play that.
Yep.
And then I'm gonna negate Lost Souls.
I think it has to, I think you negate the same lost soul that you play, right?
I'm not sure. It says you may play and negate a Lost Soul. Oh, from a deck. My bad. Didn't read that part.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. We can negate that.
All good. All right, so then you've got 4 in hand and say you are tossing evil enhancements with a brigade not already in battle.
Well, before you block, I'm gonna play. I just didn't know if you wanted to.
Yeah, I'll
Use
trigger
Lost.
yeah. Lost Souls. Yeah, I'll make you a token.
Yep. And then before you block, we're gonna play the resurrection.
Yep.
Go ahead, put that out. Let's go ahead and scrap it. And then we'll go with him. And then him. All right. So Simon will go off. I'm not going to band. I'm going to underdeck. Well, you have to underdeck an evil card.
Yep. I will underdeck Herder Grip of the First.
Cool. And then John, I don't have a dominant, but I will draw 2.
Okay.
All right.
I'm good to block.
Yep. Good to block.
Cool. Let's go with Herod's Guard. Prevent the next. If you got 5 in hand, 2 that you just drew, I think I'm better off trying to slow you down here. So I'm going to go with Herod Agrippa the First.
Okay.
Who conveniently was back in my deck. And I will negate John the Fisherman.
Okay. So now we're both protected, right?
Right, yep. And see, at least your Simeon and your shepherds are protected from harm. Yep.
Yeah. So now it would be my initiative, right?
Yep. Yeah, and the next good card's being prevented.
All right. I'll
No
pass
flight
it.
to Egypt for you. I will pass as well. Yep.
Yep. Yeah, there's nothing that I can do. Yeah, there's nothing I can do.
Sweet.
So now, John, he's still alive, or is he dead now since he was not being protected?
He's still alive because I wasn't defeating you by the numbers or anything.
Okay. Alrighty. I'm at 3, so go ahead.
Cool. Okay. Cool. I will start out by activating the new covenant.
Mm-hmm.
Go to deck for Baptism of Jesus. And I will put down Patmos. Go to deck for Mr. Matthew.
Mr. Matthew.
Yeah, I think he's my best bet at the moment. If I can get him to work through a stable here, we'll see. Put down a Joanna. And for my territory class, I will play Virgin Birth. Take a human hero from my deck. Let's see. Let's go with Judas. And guess we'll put Judas in play. And then I will go to battle, if that's alright with you.
Yeah, yep, that's fine.
Alright, let's do Peter. I'll convert him to Meek. And I will play my own Herod's Temple. Do I want to ban is the question. Probably not at this point. Yep, solo Peter.
Solo Peter. Actually, I think I'm just going to give you this one.
Sure, okay. Pass turn.
That's true. Draw 3. Alrighty. Alright. I do have a star.
Yep.
Angel appears. I'll go ahead and top deck that.
Sure.
Alright. Upkeep. I'm going to use stable. Let's go ahead and go lost child.
Yep.
Down Herodias and Agrippa. Yeah, let's turn over Overtaken.
Yep.
And then let's go ahead and go to my rescue attempt.
All right.
We'll go with Mary.
Yep.
Let's go ahead and reserve New Covenant.
Yep. Makes sense.
And then I'll take a star card from reserve. Go ahead and take that. Or, yeah,
Okay.
that is a sword. Yep.
Alright, so Overtaken is triggered. Oh, that's for action priority.
Yeah, that's fine.
Alright, I will activate Herod's Temple
Mm-hmm.
and reserve my Herod's Guard. Good to go to block?
Yep.
Alright. I'll do Deceiver. Ooh, that was close. It was the second card from the top, apparently. So I believe that you have play advantage. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You've got 9. So an X is looks like it's 3.
3, yeah.
So I will choose to underdeck. Let's just do Mary Stable and Herod's Temple.
Yep. Okay. And then I'll pass turn.
Alright. So can't go to reserve. No upkeep. Got a CBN Herod Agrippa. I will put down a Mary of my own. And I think I'll just go right to battle.
Mm-hmm.
I will attack with Matthew. And we'll convert him to Meek.
Okay.
Take a peek at your hand. No straw. Alright. So it looks like 4.
Yeah, 4.
Draw 4. Alright. Do you want to play something before you block? Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I'll go ahead and play the Resurrection.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll go and you've got a John, so I'll grab my Mary and my Nazareth. And I will ban to Zacchaeus, Mary, and let's do your John. So Zacchaeus will reserve your Herod Agrippa the First.
Well, I'm sorry. What were you doing? I was reading.
So banning and Zacchaeus, Mary and John. Zacchaeus will reserve Herod Agrippa the First.
Reserve. Okay.
And then Mary will negate and reserve Herodias. Still can't go to reserve because of Nazareth, but John will reveal Son of God to, well, yeah, toss the next for just in case, and then we'll draw 2.
Yeah, you definitely got that. Nothing I could do on that.
Got a distressed, so I will trigger Lost Souls and give you another token. Alright, thanks for the John. We'll put down an artifact and yeah, I guess I'll play Son of God on Distressed.
Mm-hmm.
And let's put down Herod Archelaus, and I will pass turn.
New stars. Darkness. Can't use it.
Yep.
There's not much more I can do here. That I can do. Okay. All right. I think for my territory class, I'm going to play Lost Child Found.
All right.
We're going to bounce Nazareth, Herod's Temple, and let's bounce Judas as well.
Yep.
Let's go ahead and put you down. Let's go Shepherds for my rescue attempt.
All right. Playing a Lost Soul.
No, I don't think that you have any left. 2, 3, 4, 5. Actually, yeah, you do. But no, I'm good. I'm not going to.
All right. Think I will. Yeah, I'll ask for Dominish.
Yep, you got it.
Yeah. Let's do Second Coming. Get Son of God back. Put that in hand. And then I will play. I'll play Glory of the Lord. I will not activate a temple artifact, but I will restrict the enhancements. And then I will go to block. We'll do Pagan Sailors. Make him a gold Roman. And I will activate stocks to capture Shepherds of Bethlehem.
Yep, you got it. Nice. I know I should have went the other way. Go ahead.
All right. Got a Lawless. Guess I'll Lawless myself. Grab a Herod the Great. And I go to prep phase. Put Herod's Temple back down. I'll put Judas back down. And deactivate stocks. Yeah, I'll go ahead and put Nazareth back down. And I will go to battle.
Mm-hmm.
I will. Yeah, I'll attack with Joanna. Do I want to convert her to Meek? I will not. So we'll just toss the next if blocked from hand.
Yeah, I guess I kind of have to. We'll just go with guard.
Alright. I'm preventing the next, and I'm tossing the next. Yeah, I'll just go ahead and drop the angel.
Yep. Yeah.
And do that.
Yep, there you go.
Well,
I'll
that
tell you what, I
was
do not have an opening hand at all.
yeah, that seemed a little rough if your best bet is or second coming to resurrection.
Right. And I have
Uh,
like multiple ways to it, and I didn't draw any of them.
right, yeah. Yeah, I assume you're running Annunciation and Res Revealer.
Yeah, I'm running both, but I did not draw either one.
Yeah. Yeah, that was rough. I wonder if you're uh well, I don't know. I wonder if you're better off like waiting to do Resurrection until after I block.
I was thinking that, but I was like, I don't really know because, I was hoping to get out. I was hoping that the protection would be enough, honestly.
Sure, yeah.
But, and then you threw out the Herod Agrippa, and I was like, all right, well, I can get through that. But
Yeah.
then once you did something to where I couldn't play anything.
Yeah, I had the prevent next with Herod's Guard,
That's what it was. And the only thing I had in my hand was Flight into Egypt.
which
So I could have gotten through him, but when you negated John, I drew an angel appear. So I could have just played that and
oh
then passed
sure.
it back here. Then when it came back to me, Flight into Egypt.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that actually that's kind of funny how that worked out though, because I think then what cost you there was actually the underdeck with Simeon, because
Yeah,
I had Herod Agrippa in my hand, and I was like, oh, well, if I underdeck Herod Agrippa, then I can do Herod's Guard into Herod Agrippa to get the prevent next. Because
right.
I forgot that you had Flight into Egypt in there, uh,
Mm,
or in hand, and so if I had not had to underdeck Herod Agrippa, then I would have just probably blocked with him and then not been able to uh, prevent your next.
right.
And so that would
Now,
have worked. I
I
was
like your play with the pagan sailors. Are you running that main deck?
Am I running what?
The pagan sailors. Are you running that in your main deck or reserve?
Yeah, in the main deck. Yep. Yeah. So this
Yeah.
list is actually the Nazareth prison list that Josh Potratz posted earlier this week, or I guess late last week.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, that's a pretty cool uh, interaction. Or I mean, like sailors to stocks is like not it's it's been in some decks, but I think especially with the Glory of the Lord backup, it seems like it fits well in this deck.
Yeah, it definitely fits well. Now, are you worried about Matthew with that?
Um, yeah, that's a good question. Like, I mean, I guess like or it's Josh built the deck and he went or thought it was worth the risk. I guess so.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, I don't know. It's maybe the idea is that like as long as you're able to get the blocks against Matthew with sailors or outsiders or the Herods, that this deck can just catch up well enough. Gonna go back with the
yeah,
Matthew, but yeah, I could see that being an issue in like the mirror match, for instance, where if my opponent goes first with Matthew and gets a huge draw off sailors, then I'm gonna be set pretty far behind if they get like a Nazareth or something set up.
right.
Um,
I don't know. I think Nazareth is the way to go. Like I was testing out this nativity build, but I don't think it's the way to go. It's good, but it's
yeah, yeah, I think that's kind of what I've been seeing with nativity builds, like like this one, like Jake's newspaper deck, is that they seem very sturdy. Like they're very solid decks, but
mhm.
I don't know if they have the consistency to I don't know to compete with just kind of a gospel barf deck as it's being affectionately called now.
Right.
The GOC
No,
good stuff.
I would agree. I don't. It. it's either it's really good or it just bricks. Like it's one or the other. There is like really no middle ground with it.
Yeah. Yeah, and like I don't know if there's enough. I mean, like maybe if you're playing both like Star and Mayhem, if that's enough to push it over the edge. Plus, the consistency stuff to get to Resurrection or to get to Star. I mean, you like you're saying, you had both Annunciation and Resurrection Revealer, and I'm sure some other stuff
Yeah, I
to get to
mean, well,
Resurrection. I mean, you
even
had New Covenant to get to
yeah, Angel appears.
Angel
That
appears.
gets
Yeah.
you either
So
one.
yeah, I don't know that it's. I wouldn't judge the deck based purely off of the performance in this game. Like, or
No,
it's just
no,
kind of
no.
a
I was
one-off. But
using it at the end of last Lackey too,
oh,
the
okay,
last tournament that we were doing.
yeah,
I switched it up from the Fools to this deck, and
okay,
I just don't know if I'm sold on it because even those last two matches, I think I got beat like 5-1 or 5-0.
oh dang,
So I don't know if it's just me piloting it or if it's just not what it's cracked up to be. Because
yeah,
the same problem happened last time. Once you throw down Nazareth, like this deck is kind of, you know, not as effective because
right,
they search a lot.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I think really what opened up this game for me was getting that Outsiders block, where I was able to take out your stable and your Herod's Temple, because then I could pick apart your defense and also land the Matthew and the Nazareth
Mm-hmm.
without having to worry about your protection. And so I think that's kind of like that's kind of what turned the game around. I mean, I think at that point it was still pretty even, but I think that's what kind of shifted it in my favor. So I feel like if you're able to get the Bethlehem stable out as early and consistently, then that's a good answer for the Nazareth. Like otherwise, I think this deck basically just needs three woes for that.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Well, not even just three woes. I mean, you can use Herod Agrippa to negate Bethlehem Stable, and then Nazareth kicks on.
oh sure, yeah, I suppose to kind of
Yeah,
blink
like
the stable. Yeah, that's fair. I don't know. That
if
does
you have
mean that I
nothing
have
else.
to. It does mean that I have to put down Nazareth when it's only affecting me in order to create the possibility of making that window. So it is a little risky, but
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean, if
I
you
see
have
what you mean.
nothing else to negate for Herod, and you like do your action priority to do Herod's Temple,
Yeah,
and then go in with Herod Agrippa to negate Stable. If those two are already down, then it will kind of help you in the long run, I think.
yeah,
But then again, it could not.
yeah. Hmm. Yeah,
Now,
I think.
are you playing Overtaken with your Herods or no?
No, I don't think he had it in the this list.
Okay.
Which, like, honestly, just I don't know the way that this game went. It was like, yeah, I don't think I ever would have like it never really would have made a difference. I guess if you had three woes for outsiders, that would have been rough. Um, so I don't know. Maybe that's something to consider. But like just the all the tricks that are in here. So like Glory of the Lord and Herod's Temple,
Mhm.
both with the Herods and outsiders and sailors, like those can both kind of fill the spot of overtaken, just because the Herods being CBP means you have to play enhancements to negate them, and
Right.
Herod's Temple and Glory can stop that.
Now, are you strictly using Glory on as like a defense, or sometimes you'll use it on offense?
Um, I mean, yeah, it would be on offense too. I'm sure this is the first time I've played this deck, so um, yeah,
Okay.
but I'm guessing that. I mean, I guess that's just one of the nice parts about Glory is that it works really well for either. It's kind of like
Right.
grapes in that regard, which is also in this deck. Which yeah, it's just
Yeah.
the. I think part of the idea is that both of these are flexible to be useful on offense or defense, but they're both good dominance, so they can be revealed for John or for Matthew if you want to.
Hmm.
Um, so I think that's kind of the idea that Josh went with. Um, so yeah, there's no like there's three woes, but then the rest of the dominants are all only good.
Yeah, I'm because you got second coming, one, two, three, four, five. Yeah, they are mostly good.
Yeah,
I don't know what your seventh dom is, but
yeah.
I
So it's
mean,
just
oh yeah, the resurrection. I forgot about that one too.
yep,
Yeah.
yep.
Hmm. Interesting. I
So
might have to go over there and look at it. I think I glanced at it, but I didn't like actually take a deep look into it.
yeah, yeah. He posted it on June 1st in the Zerubbabel's Temple Discord in Nazareth prison. So
Yeah. Huh.
plus
Interesting.
I'll have the deck list on my video then. But
Right.
um,
Huh.
but yeah, I don't know. It's a very solid deck. It was kind of interesting not to see Crowd's Choice in a Josh Potratz deck, which it's a Nazareth deck, but it just it's like it's one of those consistency cards where I don't know, maybe he's I guess he's always been kind of like a battle dom proponent, so maybe that's
Yeah.
the idea is that using the dominants that can uh, affect the battle are more important than having that little extra consistency.
Well, I mean, even just like from what I've seen from our game, it looks very solid. I mean, there wasn't anything I could do to the defense.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the consistency seems
Yeah.
to be there anyway without it. So I mean the defense didn't really have a whole lot going for it right at the beginning. Like actually got or like in my opening eight, like with the prosperity, I'm really glad that I activated that because that's what got me to Herod's Guard. And
Hmm.
when I drew that, then I was like, oh, okay, now I feel a little more comfortable with the defense, like going into the block, because otherwise it was just Herod Agrippa, um, who you showed me that you had a way to beat him right with
Right.
your star ability if I didn't have anything else to back him up. So,
Hmm.
uh, but yeah, I feel
Interesting.
like I think I think the main thing I would say is that if you're that like yeah your resurrection play, I think I would have waited until I blocked and then played resurrection just because that would have stopped me from negating John with Herod Agrippa and also kind of made me have to think like, all right, do I go to Archelaus to be protected from loan, or do I go with the Herod Agrippa? And if I do, then you just get to play something, and I don't have protection. Um, I might have even just gone to Herod the Great and then played Herod's Temple, used that, and then you get to do Resurrection and just punish that.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, I think it's just been ingrained in my head that you always do it pre-block, and I just always do it that way. But I
sure,
got to get out of that thinking now.
yeah, yeah. I think that's one of the things that I was actually talking to Josh a little bit about um, with this deck was I was kind of like, all right, so is the idea like just to go with Matthew, play Resurrection, get Herod's Temple, get Peter, and then play Nazareth, and then let them block, um, or like what is the idea to get Nazareth down pre-block just so they can't like herdsmen and stuff. But he was actually saying that the idea is more so to just land or to go with Matthew, let them block, get some draws with Blood of the Lamb and generous giving, and then hopefully, if you don't have resurrection at that point, or I guess hopefully you have resurrection at that point, and then you can band in a bunch of the draw two characters like Judas and Joanna and John,
Right.
or like Judas, John, and Zacchaeus or something, so that you can toss the next and then reserve the evil character. So I think that I mean, it's kind of situational with something like this. You're going to use Matthew to look at their hand and be like, all right, do I want it before or after? And I think in your case, maybe you kind of get a similar thing when you attacked with shepherds. You get to look at my deck, and then you can be like, all right, he's playing Herods. What does that mean? Does that mean that I should play it now or later? So, like, if I use Matthew, looked at your hand and saw that you were playing Philistines and you had a armor bearer or something to get to herdsman, then I probably play resurrection before you block. But
Right. They get the Nazareth out.
right, yeah. Otherwise, I think in this case, or I think in most cases, the idea, at least with this deck, is resurrection after the block, just to get a whole bunch of value, put the Nazareth down at that point, and then you also use resurrection to win the battle, essentially, by banding into Zacchaeus or just having the toss next when they're not expecting it. So
makes sense.
Yeah, and I think that's maybe for most decks kind of what resurrection should be more of. I don't know. I think I've been kind of the same mindset of you more often than not, where like you want to just play resurrection, get your value, and make sure that you got your stable, you got your Herod's Temple or your Nazareth if you're going that route, and then make them figure it out. But yeah, I think using it to focus on winning battles, I think, is maybe more significant, more important, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, that definitely makes sense. I never even thought of the resurrection like that, but the way that you're explaining it, it actually makes sense.
Yeah, I think it. I mean, it's obviously a very powerful card, and the fact that you can use it to effectively win battles with like Zacchaeus and a toss next is pretty busted. That's why everyone plays GOC good stuff.
Right. I'm telling you, it was the best set that they ever put out.
Yeah,
It's,
from a power standpoint, yeah, for sure.
yeah, from a power standpoint, it's the best one that they put out.
It's the Warriors of rotation.
Yeah, basically.
Not that Warriors is really any good now in Classic, but it was definitely a big lift for where the game was at.
Yeah, for when it came out, I remember when it came out, it was all that anybody wanted.
Yep.
Especially that King of Tires.
Oh yeah, so good. Yep.
All right, man. Thanks for the game, and thanks for the explanation too. Like that actually really helps.
Yeah, for sure. Hopefully, other people find that useful as well. It's yeah. I mean, I was kind of learning this deck as we were playing. Like I did a few goldfishes beforehand, but and talked to Josh a little bit, like I mentioned. But it was like, all right, yeah, this feels like it has a pretty good flow to it.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah. Thanks for the game and getting the timing of it figured out.
Yeah.
It
Thank
worked
you.
out well. So we'll catch you later.
All right, Jaden. I'll see you.